I want to talk about this incident that occurred on the 6th of February. It involves Jetstar. My dad was in Adelaide on holiday. He arrived from Sri Lanka and he was returning to Colombo on the 6th of February. He is 85 years old. He needed wheelchair assistance. So I had booked wheelchair assistance through Sri Lankan Airlines. And of course, it was reflected on the ticket as well. Now, on the 5th of February, I was informed that there was no wheelchair assistance mentioned in the transit flight, which was Jetstar. Just for clarification, I booked the ticket through the Sri Lankan Airlines website, and it included traveling from Adelaide to Melbourne on Jetstar, and then from Melbourne to Colombo on Sri Lankan Airlines. Now, the Sri Lankan Airlines part of the ticket had wheelchair assistance confirmed, and this was confirmed from Sri Lankan Airlines itself. But the Jetstar part of it was not confirmed, although it should have, because I bought a single ticket through the Sri Lankan Airlines website and not two separate tickets. Anyway, after I found out that there was no wheelchair assistance mentioned on the Jetstar part of the ticket, I called Jetstar on the 5th of February. This was late in the evening. I spoke to an agent. They were quite helpful at that time and said that they will book wheelchair assistance for my dad. They said that they will also have the special desk contact me either via email or telephone and confirm and discuss whatever requirements I need. However, there was no phone call, there was no email by the next day, and my dad had to fly the next morning on the 6th of February. So we went to the airport, that is the Adelaide International Airport, and at the Jetstar desk, we were told that there was no wheelchair assistance booked for him. So we discussed what needs to be done at that point. They were able to somehow include him for wheelchair assistance. He was given wheelchair assistance from the airport to board the plane. Now, after my dad boarded the plane, he was assisted by one of the Jetstar staff, the staff comes and tells me or asks me if there is someone who will be picking him up at the Melbourne airport. I said no. He was transiting through Melbourne. There was no one who was there to pick him up. This was his first time in Australia as well. And the assumption that I had at that point was that he will be assisted by Jetstar from the domestic terminal at the Melbourne airport to the international terminal, because Jetstar flies domestic, so they fly to the domestic terminal, and then passengers have to transit from the domestic terminal to the international terminal. Now, this employee of Jetstar tells me, nope, there is no one from Jetstar who would be doing that. If we had known, we would not have boarded him on the flight. That took me by surprise because my dad was already on the flight and he had absolutely no idea what was going on. He assumed that there will be somebody at the Melbourne airport who would be helping him to transit from terminal to terminal on a wheelchair. This Jetstar employee said that she will try to call the Melbourne airport and see if there is someone who can assist him. But she was very clear that this is not something that they do, and that if there is no one there to assist him, this might become a problem. So I panicked. I stayed back at the Adelaide airport with my wife for about an hour or so. I called Sri Lankan Airlines, the Sri Lankan Airlines Melbourne desk or Melbourne office, and I was told by their staff that yes, he is booked for special assistance or wheelchair assistance from Melbourne to Colombo, but from terminal to terminal at the Melbourne airport, that is something that is out of their hands. Now, my argument there was that, look, I purchased the ticket from Sri Lankan Airlines. I requested wheelchair assistance through Sri Lankan Airlines. I was never told that I need to do this separately with Jetstar. And okay, let's say that that is something that I should have known maybe. What happens now? We've got an aged person who is on board a Jetstar flight. He's about to reach Melbourne. Who is going to take him from the domestic terminal to the international terminal? Sri Lankan Airlines said, sorry, that is beyond our control. Legally, we are not allowed to go from the international terminal to the domestic terminal. And Jetstar should be doing this. But if they are refusing, then there is something else that I will have to try and organize. I kept repeating myself, saying, look, there's nothing that I can do. I don't have anyone at Melbourne at this last minute to try and go and assist them. Is there something that you can do? Sri Lankan Airlines, of course, said there's nothing much that they can do. If he is handed over to them, then they will take care of him from that point onwards. But there's nothing that they can do to get him from the domestic terminal to the international terminal. I understood their point of view, so I said, okay, I will call Jetstar. I called Jetstar, and an agent who answered the call said, sorry, there's nothing that we can do. We just take the passenger from the airline to the baggage counter. And from there, he needs to be picked up by somebody. I said, okay, I understand. This is your process or your procedures, but we have a passenger who is on his way to Melbourne right now. He will be landing anytime soon. He is aged. He's on a wheelchair. What are you going to do, or what can you do to help me? Because I'm desperate. This agent says, look, since you purchased the ticket from Sri Lankan Airlines, this would mean you have also purchased a Jetstar ticket through a travel agent. I said, no, that's not what I did. I purchased one ticket, which includes the transit flight, which includes Jetstar as the flight from Adelaide to Melbourne. I did not purchase a separate ticket. Now, this agent kept insisting that, no, I have purchased the ticket from a travel agent. So you will have to call the travel agent, and the travel agent will try and arrange wheelchair assistance from terminal to terminal. I kept insisting that that is not what happened. We were going back and forth, and I told that agent, look, I really don't think you know what you're talking about, and I cut the line. I called back the same number for the Melbourne office of Jetstar, and a different agent answered. He was quite helpful, but the bottom line was, he was saying, look, there is no way that we can help you transit the passenger from terminal to terminal. I kept asking, look, I mean, he's going to be stranded there if no one goes to assist him. Are you just going to leave him at the baggage counter? And the response that I got was more or less, yes, he's going to be left at the baggage counter. Now, I kept panicking. I was not too sure what to do. The impression that I was given during my conversations was that I'll probably have to purchase a ticket and fly immediately to the Melbourne airport to try and get my dad to transit from the domestic terminal to the international terminal. Meanwhile, I went through the Melbourne airport website, and I found details regarding the special assistance desk at the Melbourne airport. And it clearly says there that you can either pre-book special assistance, or if the passenger has already boarded the flight, there is a number to call, and they will try and assist you. So I called this number, and the person who answered was extremely helpful. She was more or less shocked that Jetstar did not mention that they had, or the Melbourne airport had, a special assistance desk, and that they are there to do this sort of service, that they offer the service to transfer passengers from terminal to terminal. If any passenger had mobility issues, then they are there to help. And when I checked also on the Melbourne Airport website, there are clearly visuals or rather photographs, images of where the passengers will be kept at each terminal and where the assistance desk is. So this information is right there on the Melbourne Airport website. Now, it is something that I was not aware of. I had really didn't have a requirement till this point to seek special assistance. This employee or this officer or agent or whoever from the Melbourne Airport Special Assistance Desk, I believe her name was Rachel. She was extremely helpful. She got someone to go to the baggage belt to see if my dad was there. They could not find anyone on a wheelchair. Then they asked the Jetstar employees who were around if there was somebody being assisted on a wheelchair, and they said no, they couldn't find anyone or they were not aware, which was strange because all they needed to do is to pick up their walkie-talkie and ask by name if there was a certain passenger with any of their employees and if it was being wheeled towards the baggage counter. But clearly, they were not keen to do that. Why? I don't know. Then this Melbourne Airport Special Assistance Desk officer kept communicating with me on my phone, on WhatsApp, was calling me as well, requested for a photograph of my dad, which I provided. She personally went again to the baggage counter and was trying to locate him. It took some time, and eventually, using the photograph, she managed to locate my dad. She put him on the phone and confirmed it was him, and then assisted him to the international terminal. And from there onwards, of course, everything was smooth. He was handed over to the Sri Lankan Airlines staff. Sri Lankan Airlines as well went a little out of the way at that point to help him because they knew what was happening. They made sure he was okay and stayed with him till he boarded the flight to Colombo. Now, my issue here is that Jetstar, especially, did not know that there was a special assistance desk at the Melbourne airport, or at least the agents who answered the phone were unaware of this facility. They did not give me this information. I was made to panic and stress out unnecessarily because if I was told this from the word go, as soon as my dad was boarded onto the flight, I could have called the Melbourne airport, confirmed special assistance for him, and that would have been sorted then and there. Instead, I had to call multiple times, multiple people, stress out, consider maybe traveling to Melbourne just to get him transferred from the domestic terminal to the international terminal. So this is something that I just want to send out to you and to Jetstar especially. You need to let your employees know exactly what the processes are. You do not want passengers panicking unnecessarily, especially if they are aged and if they need assistance. The whole process needs to be communicated to your employees. They need to be aware of all the information that is out there in the public domain and at least tell the passengers, okay, this is where you can find the information. If you go there, you might find information that you require. This whole incident could have been, not so stressful if the right information was given at the word go. Yes, someone might say, look, you as a passenger should have read up as well. Yes, maybe. But it was something that I was not aware of. I assumed that everything was sorted by the airline and the airline would take the responsibility. However, it's something that I think Jetstar should also have told me, even Sri Lankan Airlines, although I appreciate the fact that they took care of my dad. These are information that, when you're traveling international, you need to make sure that this information is communicated clearly to the passenger so that there is no undue or unnecessary stress. So that is something that I just wanted to put out for you. Do follow my channel on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, and TikTok for more points of view, discussions, and well, some information. Thank you for watching. Till next time, take care.